Yo, what's good guys, Remark coming through to you from the Nintendo Network. And before I start this video, I just want to say, holy shit, the support's gone crazy, because from last video only, we've reached to 300 subs. So it's like, that's actually an insane jump, because before we were just about at 200. So yo, thank you to everyone who subbed. I really appreciate you guys. I'm gonna keep dropping more videos. But yeah, let me get back to the video. So I'm guessing that from the title and the thumbnail of the video, you can tell what this is already about. But if you can't, it's about Haki and devil fruits, because in the last video I was meant to touch up on them, but I ran on for a bit too long. So in this video, I'm going to be going over how devil fruits and Haki are going to affect your combat, how they're going to work, how you progress them, all that stuff. But hey, I just want to say before I do get into this video, I have a Twitch and I have a Discord down in the description. I really appreciate any support. You can also follow me on Instagram, put that in the description as well. And yeah, let me get to the video. So now in Rell, I'm sure that all of you know what Haki is, but for those of you that don't, it's practically your late game weapon or ability that everyone has access to, and it is practically required for everyone that wants to be strong. And so now as for how we obtain it, now I'm not gonna lie to you guys, we don't actually know that yet, but we do know that everyone's gonna get it differently, or there's gonna be multiple different ways of progressing it. However, I can explain to you how you can customize it and how you can make it unique to yourself, because the Haki system works very similar to the way that the ability system works in the game with posters. So now if you haven't seen my last video, or you don't know how the poster system works, I'm gonna break it down real quick for you. It is basically a system where you get different abilities, different passives, and they get broken up into 3 different classes. You have your fierce, your agile, and your tactic. So now for each of these different classes, you can have one of these equipped at once, and these are all going to greatly impact your combat and just the way you experience the game. And now as for Haki, it's broken up into 3 different categories once again, with it being Conquerors, Observation, and Armament. So now each of these categories offer very unique and different play styles, which are going to let you customize your build by a lot. Also, I forgot to mention, unlike the poster system for your abilities, instead of you having just 3 slots, you actually have 6, where you can use as many of one category as you want. So have fun with that. Okay, and so now I'm going to dive into the different categories and how they work differently. And starting off, I'm going to kick it off with Armament. So now Armament is of course one of the categories for Haki, and it is mostly the one that's going to affect your combat. So now in one piece to show, the way that Armament works is that it will harden your skin, it will make you stronger, and it also gives you the ability to hit Logia users, which is incredibly important, because I'm going to be diving into that later on when I talk about fruits. So now as for the Armament cards, you'll see that a lot of them do focus on combat, and they focus on how they're going to make you stronger and give you certain buffs for combat. For example, there's one that lets you time your attack so that you perform an attack similar to a Black Flash from Jujutsu Kaisen, which is it's really cool because it fits in with the One Piece verse, but it also allows you to mix in stuff from Jujutsu Kaisen. And I believe there's ones that also give you a damage buff by like 5% or something like that. It doesn't sound too good right now. I think that a 5% damage buff is pretty weak, but I wouldn't be surprised if that gets changed. Also, I'm not sure if this is 100% confirmed. However, usually in a lot of One Piece games, a lot of One Piece Roblox games, just having Armament activated will give you a little buff. It will give you a little damage buff. Now, this may not be the case since we already know that there's cards that will allow you to get a damage buff from your Haki. So this could just be something that's not in the game, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Also, I completely forgot to mention that Armament is very customizable, and I'm not talking about just from your cards. I'm talking about from the way it looks on your body. And this is something that we've never seen in a Rell game. This is something we've never seen in a Roblox One Piece game. Like for example, you can pick which leg your Armament is going to be on. So you can have it on your left leg, you can have it on your arm, you can have it on full body apparently. So now I really think this is going to help with the personalization of making your own character, which is something that every One Piece game on Roblox right now doesn't have. And honestly, it just makes me much more hopeful for the game. Okay, so now on to Observation. Observation Haki is another form of Haki. It's another category. And this one focuses more on passives. It gives you more passives. It lets you see stuff better. And you'll see what I mean by lets you see stuff better in a sec. Because the stuff that you can do with this form is insane. Honestly, right now, this is the highest quality of Haki we've seen on Roblox ever. Especially for Observation, because the stuff you can do is insane. And I'd say that it's probably the best looking one out of all the forms in Rell. But that's not to say that the ones that we've been shown so far aren't looking good. They still look amazing. So now, as I said earlier, Observation lets you see things in other ways and lets you see things that you wouldn't see usually. And one of the main things that a lot of people were excited about from when we saw movie 2 was that you can sense when someone strong is nearby. So if your Observation is strong enough, you can sense when someone strong is close. You can sense if someone strong enters an island, and it makes a really cool effect on your screen. So now this is actually crazy, because once again, this is nothing we've ever seen in a Roblox One Piece game, let alone in a One Piece game ever. So it's like, wow. And I feel like this really does set the bar of quality way higher than usual. But that's not the only thing that we've seen for Observation Haki, because we've seen so many other cool stuffs. For example, as you know, Observation Haki, if your Observation Haki is good enough, you'll be able to use dodges. And the dodges in this game look so nice. It's not like in GPO or like in Blox Fruits where you have a really shitty animation. No, it looks like you're actually moving around. It looks really nice. And so now another thing that's really cool about observation is that there's certain cards that will let you see what your opponent has. So for example, you'll be able to see what weapon they're using, what fruit they're using, their Haki. You can see a bunch about them, and it's like, once again, it really taps into it really taps into what observation is about in the anime. And so now onto the final form of Haki, and we have Conquerors. So now this one is probably the most foreign to a lot of people who haven't watched One Piece or are not caught up with it, because there's no other Roblox One Piece game with Conquerors Haki inside of it. I don't know why, but it's never a thing. I think it's because devs are too scared to balance it, they don't know how to do it, and Rell looks like the first game that's actually gotten it right. And once again, that comes down to the poster system being really good. It's a really unique system that actually works, and it's going to allow for a lot of builds to be balanced. But now onto Conquerors. This is probably the most unique and different one that we've seen from all the different classes, because there's not really one defined way that you can describe it. Like, Armament gives you attack buffs, it gives you buffs with like your damage. Observation gives you like extra sight, it lets you see more than you usually would. But I don't really know how to describe Conquerors. I guess it's just like will. I'm not trying to sound corny here, but it's aura. It's just aura. And I think that the best way to just explain it to you guys is by just showing it to you. So now, as you can see here from this clip, you can see that a lot of it comes with knocking people out. And actually, I guess that's a decent way to explain it. That's a pretty decent way to explain it. It's used for knocking people out and stunning them. But now there's still a lot that can be done with it. For example, you can knock Zoan users out of their forms. And I'm going to get into what a Zoan is later on, because if you understand what that is, then that's low-key kind of crazy, because once again, we have never seen this in a Roblox One Piece game. There's also other cards that come with passive abilities. For example, there's one where if you get knocked down during battle, if you get knocked out, you release your Conquerors and you will knock out anyone within a certain vicinity for a few seconds. So now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really think that this is too good, because we don't know if it's going to be able to attack your teammates and affect your teammates. Because say you're in a team fight and you get knocked down, if you get knocked down and your teammates are nearby, they're automatically just fucked. They're literally just fucked. There's nothing they can do. And on top of that, by the time everyone's up, you will still be on the ground. So you'll be easy to grip, you'll be easy to pick up and take away, but you're basically just going to be vulnerable after using it. So now, another thing about Conquerors that I don't know if this is confirmed for the game or whatever, but I would really hope it is. But in the anime, depending on who has a stronger Conqueror Haki, is the one who will take over. So there'll be things like clashes. There'll be things like Conqueror Haki clashes. And whoever has the strongest Conqueror's Haki is the one who will win the fight. So now, part of the thing that leads me to believe that this will be in the game is that the Rell brothers have said that Haki will be the thing that dominates the seas. And once again, Conqueror's Haki is like it's like the more dominant form. And I think that it would be really cool if there's clashes in the game. It would just make sense. Also, before I do move on from Haki to fruits, I completely forgot to mention that in the game, you'll be able to invest skill points into your Haki, or you'll be able to level up your Haki in certain categories. So yeah, there's also that. But now let me get onto fruits. Okay, so now onto devil fruits, and something that I want to quickly get out of the way for devil fruits is that in this game, they're going to be rare. They're going to be really hard to find. It's been said that most people won't even have devil fruits, and that's something that I'm really happy about, because I feel like in a lot of Roblox One Piece games, it is so easy to get a hold of them, and it's just not fun. And once again, I'm going to be breaking down the devil fruits into 3 different categories, because there are 3 different categories, and I'm actually starting to notice a pattern. I'm noticing a pattern. First, it was a talent system. Then there was the Haki, and now it's the fruits. But anyways, the 3 different classes of fruits are Zoans, Paramecias, and Logias. And to start things off, I'm going to start with the most basic of them all, and that's going to be Paramecias. So now, Paramecias are super simple, because they practically only give you abilities. And I believe that we're going to get some passives. I think that majority of the fruits in the game are going to have some form of unique M1 as well. So that's something cool about it. I know that we've seen it for some Logias, and I believe for some Zoans, but I don't know if we've seen it for Paramecias. However, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some for Paramecias, because there's quite a lot of room to work with. But anyways, Paramecias are practically just fruits that give you abilities. And majority of these are going to be just for combat. Once again, majority of the fruits in the game are just going to be for combat. But the Paramecias are actually really cool. I think the one that I'm most excited for is probably the barrier fruit. I'm going to display a bunch of the fruits on the screen. I'm going to display every single Paramecia that's going to be in the game. I don't know if they'll be on the game at launch, but they will be in the game eventually. Oh wait, forget what I said about barrier being my favorite, or the one I'm excited for most, because I completely forgot that Chop is going to be in the game. And the reason why I'm most excited for Chop is because we have never seen in a Roblox One Piece game Chop being done well. And I think the only game that I've seen where you can actually use it is Blox Fruits. And you know how I feel about Blox Fruits. I feel like most of us know how we feel about Blox Fruits. I also forgot to mention that Paramecias are probably the most common form of fruits in the game. I believe that a good amount of the fruits in the game are Paramecias, because there's just more of them in the One Piece verse. And honestly, I feel completely fine about that, because a decent, not even a decent amount, practically all the Paramecias in the game are pretty cool. But now, to make things a little bit more interesting, let's move on to Logias. because Logias are probably the one that people are most excited for. Maybe Zoans, but I'm seeing more hype around Logias. So now, if you can remember earlier when I was talking about Armament is going to be required for you to hit a Logia user. And that's because once you eat a Logia, you basically become intangible to avoid without Haki. It's with minor exceptions, with few exceptions actually. So, for example, when you eat a fruit, you can't actually go in water, and there's going to be a certain aura in the game that is going to allow you to affect your weapons so that you can actually hit fruit users if you don't have Haki. And now this is going to be especially important for those who don't have Haki and also want to fight Logias, because without it you just won't be able to fight them. So now I think the best way to think about the intangibility of a Logia is to just see it as like a really strong buff or a really strong passive, because you still do have an attacking ability, you still have a lot of attacking abilities similar to Paramecia's, and you still can do a lot with them. So now you may have seen in a bunch of other games that you can actually hit Logia users without having Haki, and I don't know if it's going to be in the game. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea if it's done correct, because in a lot of Roblox One Piece games there's a thing called the Logia bar, and that affects the amount of times that you can be hit without taking damage as a Logia user. But once that runs out, you can get hit, so it balances it out, it does it pretty well, and it doesn't completely sacrifice the whole gimmick of having a Logia. But now finally moving on to Zoans. Zoans are probably the most unique form of fruits in the game. I'm gonna be using a Zoan. I'm not gonna tell you which one it is yet, but I'm gonna be using a Zoan because they're just cold. So basically, a Zoan lets you turn into an animal, and I know it doesn't sound too good right now. However, from what we see, majority of the Zoans in the game do have two different forms, and that's being your full form and your hybrid form. So now when you turn into these different animals, you get completely different abilities, or your ability changes a decent amount. For example, with the bison fruit, which is a fruit that I want to be using, there's two different forms, and I can't actually show you one of the forms because it only got revealed recently. It's a sub sneak. I'd actually suggest going to the sub, going to Discord and joining their sub, because they're going to be releasing a lot more stuff now, and I'd highly advise it. However, for the full form of bison, I can talk on because we have seen it. So now, upon changing to full form bison, you have a whole new ability kit. Your abilities change, your looks change, your damage change. You have more damage, you have buffs, you have all these cool stuff. And also, I just want to mention the animation for actually being a full form Zoan in this game looked insanely nice, because we rarely see in a game that it looks good. Like, for example, look at GPO. For a while, the Tori did not look good at all. Even to this day, I still say that Tori doesn't look too good. Another Zoan that I know a lot of people are excited for is the dragon fruit, and you may know it as the fruit that Kaido has, but this fruit honestly looks amazing. It genuinely looks amazing. From the full form to the hybrid form, it looks insane. I think the full form is probably the nicest form that we've seen in the game because it just looks so good. Unfortunately, as of now, we have not seen any attacks. We've only seen the way it looks. We've seen a bit of movement with it. That's all we've seen. However, my hopes are still incredibly high because just look at the quality of the game and what we've seen for other attacks. Also, another really cool thing about the Zoans in this game, they're actually somewhat customizable. So what I mean by that is that depending on what hairstyle you have, or depending on what you are wearing, the way the Zoan looks is going to change. Also, another thing that I completely forgot to mention is that it's not just Zoans that have forms. I think every category has at least one fruit with one form. Like, for example, with Logias, they have the Conqueror form where you go into a massive fucking like a massive looking baby. I don't know how to describe it. You go really big. For Paramecias, you have the soul fruit where you turn to like a massive ghost skeleton, which looks really nice. But yeah, if you want a guaranteed form in your fruit, I'd say go for a Zoan. But hey, with that being said, that practically concludes everything you need to know about Haki. That's everything you need to know about fruits. But hey, let me know what you're going to be going for. I want to know if you're going to be strictly only Haki, or you're going to be using fruit and Haki. Because I'm not going to lie, you're not using just fruit. Like, I'm telling you now, you're not using just fruit, because Haki is practically required in this game. Think of it as like your endgame ability, similar to like how a bell would work in Deep Woken. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, I just want to say thank you for 300 subs. We've got here like crazy fast. I really appreciate all you guys. And I'll see you guys in the next video.